Okay, recapping the Championship, final day, just a few hours after it finished. This is Not the Top 20 podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. I'm Ali, he's George. The second automatic promotion spot was under the spotlight. Would it be Ipswich, who had it in their hands? Would it be Millwall? Would it be Middlesbrough, perhaps? It was Ipswich. They finished second. They are promoted back to the Premier League, their second straight Championship promotion. They had a chance. Leif Davis, one-on-one in the first or second minute. Well saved by Joe Walsh in the QPR goal. No matter, 1 minute later, another good attack down their left side. Ball across. George Hurst stabs in. 2-0 after 9 minutes through Philogene. And the third in the second half by Casey McAteer near the end. Ipswich promoted, and in the end, George, despite neutrals wanting jeopardy, despite neutrals wanting pendulums to swing on final day, and, dare I say it, despite plenty of neutrals hoping that it would be a non-parachute payment team rather than one with deep pockets and a good squad making second spot, Ipswich stepped up, stood up, go up.
Yeah, it was funny this, because I was in the away end at Millwall, so this was kind of the big game to decide if that was going to be interesting. And Town were 2-0 up after 10 minutes, and basically just ended the day, which is, there was a lot of talk before the game that QPR would play a weakened team. I think Julian Stefan had kind of alluded to this, but it was actually a stronger team than people probably thought it would be. Yeah, I mean, missing key attacking players, Roman Burrell, Richard Kone, but even so, they put out a relatively strong side. And, it's easy for us, on the betting show, you put up Ipswich to win this game comfortably, but pressure is also a thing, right? We always think they're motivated to win. They're going to win it because they need to win it. But also teams can freeze under pressure too. And so Ipswich turning up in front of their home crowd, needing to win, knowing that a win would promote them, and being 2-0 up that early was impressive. And, they saw out the game pretty comfortably, as has been their way this season. Once they went ahead, it wasn't the kind of Kieran McKenna Ipswich we've seen before, where they would just kind of keep the metal to the floor. QPR had some territory, they had some shots, but they were kept really quiet, nothing of note whatsoever. And when McAteer scored the final goal, it was delirium. And it was probably a promotion that, even though Millwall fans went to the game thinking, there's a chance, and Borough fans would have gone to Wrexham thinking, you never know what's going to happen there. I think Ipswich fans were fully confident today that they would get over the line, and they did it comfortably. So it's been a funny Ipswich season where, and we've had some stick I've seen in comments on YouTube and stuff for not giving them enough credit, but a lot of Ipswich fans I've spoken to agree that they've kind of gone up this season without ever looking like any better than just having a lot of good players and looking pretty solid defensively, and being a team that are relatively hard to beat, who spent quite a lot of the first half of the season struggling to put together any kind of form to challenge the likes of Coventry, who went top so early on. But that isn't to take anything away from them, because they've still been the second best team in the league, and they've still managed to despite not always being at their best, get over the line. And that isn't a backhanded compliment. It's, it is what they are.
It's the game.
It's the game.
Getting over the line.
It's the game. And, we can sit here and wax lyrical about Middlesbrough and their style of play under Kilm Helberg, and we can sit here and wax lyrical about Alex Neil and the remarkable job that he's done at Millwall, but nothing will change the fact that Ipswich have finished above them and will be promoted and don't have to worry about the playoffs, and can watch happily to see other teams scrapping it out.
Yeah, I mean, they've third highest non-penalty XG going forward behind Coventry and Southampton. Second best non-penalty XG defensively behind Middlesbrough. So that's going to combine to make a very, very strong team. I think people maybe wanted to see more fireworks, because we remember their team from 2 years ago, which won back-to-back promotions, had a different feel to it then. Obviously it did. So a lot of this is just kind of how neutrals project their own feelings, I think, onto other clubs, and Ipswich have been kind of the baddies in a way that they haven't been for probably like 20 years before this, if ever. So I think just kind of an interesting one from that point of view. They're great to watch in full flow, and McKenna's style of football, when they are playing well, has been excellent for well, 4 seasons now, not counting the one in the Premier League, which was too tough for them. But, Leif Davis is still a great left-back, I think, because we now know that. We hold him to higher standards. So he wasn't in Team of the Season, for example, but still a really, really good player, has had a really, really good season. Clark and Philogene have been, combined dynamite down the left side. They've ended up in quite a weird scenario where Philogene's been starting the games and Clark coming off the bench. And as I understand it, that's as much because Philogene's really bad off the bench and Clark's really good off the bench. So Clark almost gets punished for Philogene being quite bad off the bench. So he has to be the one to play half an hour, Philogene 60 minutes. I mean, Philogene's an amazing player, scored the second goal today. And they are both just fantastic players for the level. And they end with 27 goals between them. They didn't get loads of goals from the top of the pitch. Hurst finishes with 10, Athon with 5. Akpom came in, only scored 2. So, they've had to grind a little bit, maybe more than people would have expected, but they have been promoted, and we will do an Ipswich promotion special in due course, so we'll try and go a little bit deeper. Now, time for me to be candid. I was pretty excited about EFL final day. It's one of the best days of the calendar year when you wake up and the sun is shining and you are going to meet your friend and colleague George, and you're going to meet him for an 11 a.m. pint and bacon roll. And then you're going to go to Millwall, Oxford, where you might see a famous promotion, obviously not in the end. And then you're going to go and watch League One and League Two at conclusion in the pub. And then you're going to come and record this very show that you're listening to. It's a pretty good time. Now, being a handsome young dad as I am, there's always a threat. There's always a threat. There's always something that lingers. And
you might be too handsome for your own good.
Yeah. And George and I were, I kid you not, 100 metres away from the den at midday, and we were fizzing. The atmosphere in the air, the heat.
An 11 a.m. pint of Hepcat.
It's so good. I could barely have been happier at midday today. And Mrs. Maxwell, bless her, called me. Matilda, my wonderful daughter, tried to fly and didn't become the first person in history to be able to fly. Hit her head pretty hard, big old cut, a lot of claret. So I didn't go to Millwall Oxford. I went to A&E instead, where I spent quite a few hours this afternoon struggling to stay on top of things in the Championship, if I'm honest. And thankfully, things are fine. Matilda's fine. Obviously, I wouldn't be speaking about it in this way if things weren't absolutely fine. She's been glued together, and all's well that ends well. But what it means is I wasn't across the Championship final day. I'm not going to pretend that I was living it. You were at Millwall Oxford.
Thankfully, I was at a game that I could leave after 62 minutes. So I was all over it.
Well, tell me about Millwall Oxford, because you were there. Millwall won, and in some style to head into the playoffs.
They were really good. Yeah, they were really good. They were just... I kind of fancied us to go there and give them a bit of a game.
Upset the apple cart.
But we didn't. They were all over us from basically the first minute. We had a couple of moments on the break, but realistically it looked like a game between a team who were trying to get into the Premier League, between a team who are going to be playing in League One next season, sadly. When the goal came through Femi Aziz, it had been coming, like relentless pressure, loads of corners, a lot of kind of good last-ditch defending from Oxford players. And the second half followed a similar line. I can't really talk about the last half an hour. I mean, I should say the reason why I left was because I was sat there thinking to myself, either I can sit here and watch a game that has absolutely no relevance to whatever I'm going to be talking about this evening, or I can go somewhere with my iPad and sit and actually watch the stuff I'm going to be talking about. So had there been...
a great sacrifice for the listener.
Well, yeah. And
for me.
Because I agree that leaving early is bad form generally, but I was doing it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, Millwall were great. From what I've heard, Oxford missed a couple of chances late on. And also I should say, like anyone who's been to Millwall away knows it's an amazing experience, because the back and forth between that upper tier behind the goal and flanked by the Millwall fans is always great. And today it was great because we took massive pleasure in telling them when Ipswich had scored. But what I would say is that Femi Aziz's goal, the limbs and the cheer was not of a team who knew that their chance of automatic promotion had gone. It felt like a set of fans who knew that was probably the case, but also were very happy they were winning and are loving life and are loving the fact that they have a huge chance to go into the playoffs. and still win promotion. And I'll be at the playoff final hopefully in a couple of weeks. And if the Millwall fans are there, I think that'll be a huge credit to that game, which is always one of the highlights of the calendar. So
yes, that reminds me that I saw Millwall in a playoff final half a dozen years ago now. I've been to, how many games would I have been to at Wembley now? Possibly around 50 in my life. Only set of fans I've ever seen pitch invade Wembley.
Wow.
Yeah, and we don't condone
absolutely
that, by the way.
not.
Do we no condone that?
But imagine
But
if it is, and not to say, we've seen Southampton at Wembley before and they were amazing against Leeds. Hull City will be incredible, but have been in the Premier League relatively recently.
Mm-hmm.
Middlesbrough, it feels like their stay away from the Premier League has been more kind of part of their recent identity.
Mm-hmm.
A Borough Millwall, and Millwall haven't been in the top tier for however long. A Borough Millwall Wembley Championship playoff final feels to me like it would be pretty awesome.
Look, all matchups would be great.
They'd all be incredible. Hull fans also amazing, I should say. I love them.
I've got to get something off my chest. I love Femi Aziz so much. He's one of my favourite players in the league, one of my favourite players in the EFL. I'm buzzing that he scored 2 goals today. Finishes the season with 11 goals and 7 assists. Maybe they don't seem like standout numbers, but only starting 33 games this season, he missed a chunk of it, has been so important for this Millwall team. Has been, to my eyes anyway, the key factor for them being a really good attacking team rather than maybe a league average attacking team. And every time I think of Femi Aziz, I get a particular earworm and I have to get it out my system once and for all. Femi Aziz, that's where I wanna be.
Hey.
Femi Aziz. Not proud of it, but needed to do it for me.
Okay.
Southampton, they won at Preston to finish 4th because Middlesbrough played at Wrexham. Now, George, I put it to you that Middlesbrough-Wrexham was a massive game for both teams, but probably more so for Wrexham. And I put it to you that the way it played out, a 2-2 draw in highly entertaining circumstances, and I can measure that by the fact that a couple of my mates who don't follow the Championship very closely were watching this games, falling head over heels with the experience of watching Kim Hellberg's Middlesbrough
Do you think
live.
they were watching because of Wrexham FC or because of Kim Hellberg and your constant reminders people to always watch Middlesbrough game? If it's
Why
on?
not both?
Yeah, I mean, an amazing first half for sure. Borough come into it knowing that they had to win to have any chance and hope the results elsewhere went their way. Wrexham knowing that they had to win to confirm that they were going to be in the playoffs. And Borough went ahead early on through Tommy Conway, who's finishing the season incredibly well. Josh Windass then scored a sumptuous free kick after 25 minutes or so. Sam Smith then with a header, who's having a brilliant second half to the season and has managed to usurp Kiefer Moore in the pecking order and about 5 other players to be Wrexham's main striker. Before Strelets, who's also finishing the season well, did what he's done recently and diverted home from close range to make it 2 at half time. And it kind of felt like this game was perfectly set and it was going to be a huge second half. And it kind of was, but it was a second half dominated by missed chances, really. It became obvious to Borough that they weren't going to finish in the top 2 pretty early on. But it also became obvious to Wrexham after Derby, who, as we'll talk about, I guess, in a second, but I can kind of quickly skip across. They went 1-0 up in their game and 1-0 up at half time, but conceded twice to Sheffield United, which meant that Derby went from being the team sitting in 6th to then being the team that fell out of it and had basically no chance unless they were going to come back into the lead there. So Wrexham had 15, 20 minutes or so knowing that they had to win the game because Hull were ahead in their game against Norwich. And they had chances. Josh Windass had a chance and he hit over the bar from close range. There was a couple of goalmouth scrambles, but really, for a team who, Hollywood drama has surrounded whatever they've done in the last couple of seasons. And normally in games where they need to win, they find a way, but they weren't able to find a way here. And the game descended into, even Castledine, who came off the bench and had a couple of really good chances from close range, very good defending to kind of stop him from prodding home. But Wrexham couldn't find a way. And then the game finished and they looked over to Hull to see if Norwich could do them a favour.
We're hearing Hull have beaten Norwich 2-1. Hull City leapfrog Wrexham and will extend their season. 6th place finish. How did they do it?
Yeah, they did it.
From behind.
They did it. I know this is, again, a difficult one because, I want to be incredibly glowing about Hull and let's do that to start, because amazing from them. From Sergei Akirovic sitting in the stands to, a fan base who'd basically given up hope, and understandably so, because the results coming into this game was a 1-1 draw away at Oxford, where they were the worst team, a decent 0-0 draw at home to Coventry, a 2-1 defeat at Sheffield United, a 1-1 draw at home to Birmingham, a 2-2 draw away at relegated Leicester, and then a 2-1 defeat away at Charlton. Like, that is not the kind of form line you want going into a must-win game at home to Norwich. And they went behind with Mo Toure scoring after 25 minutes. And at that point, with Derby ahead, with Wrexham level, the probability of Hull finishing 6th just felt incredibly slight.
Hull have been laughing at probabilities all season, George, and they will continue to do so.
And they did it again. McBurney diverting a penalty. Diverting a penalty? Do you divert? Yeah. You convert a penalty. Converting a penalty shortly after Toure's equaliser. And then a goal to win it, which, it looks to me like it's probably offside.
Mm-hmm.
But thank goodness we don't have VAR for many reasons. And I hope Wrexham fans won't be calling on that, because, it looks offside, but it's a decent finish from McBurney. I also think that there was possibly a penalty on Magoma right in the last minutes, where he seemed to get ahead of the defender to the ball and was taken out, but it wasn't given. It wouldn't be Hull City unless they were giving the opposition a chance by coming out on top, and that's what they've done here. So, I put up Norwich on the betting show. I really thought Norwich would win this game, but Hull City have made a habit of proving people like me and people like you wrong all season, and they will go into the playoffs as the massive outsiders. They play Millwall over 2 legs. I'll be writing them off. I can tell you that now. Preview for the betting show. There'd have to be a huge price for me to even consider them. But it would be just like them to prove us wrong and do it again. So, amazing for them to get over the line. An incredible, McBurney, the hero yet again, who's been an unbelievable player for them this season, an incredible signing in the summer. So let's see, can they continue to prove us all wrong?
Yeah, McBurney ends up joint with Haji Wright on 17 goals, the second equal top goal scorers in the league, 6 behind Zan Vopotnik of Swansea. Congratulations, Hull. A playoff preview will come out on Wednesday, be going in depth on Hull and their opponents, Millwall, the matchup, etc. But also, how about Middlesbrough against Southampton for a playoff semi-final over 2 legs? That is mouth-watering. Derby lost at home to Sheffield United. Obviously, a win would not have got them into 6th anyway, but they did not do their part, and they will feel a bit disappointed, I imagine, because the second half display doesn't look like the team that should have been banging down the door. Cannon equalised after Smodics put Derby ahead. Cannon equalised about an hour in, and then Sidipak scored the winner for Sheffield United, who's helter-skelter, topsy-turvy, and ultimately massively underperforming season comes to an end with them in 15th. Get ready for the playoff preview in a couple of days' time. Elsewhere, on the beach, if you like, let's start with Sheffield Wednesday. They beat West Brom by 2-1. On a footballing level, that meant that they finished the season on 0 points. They got their second win of the campaign, their 18th point, if you like, which wiped out the 18 points that they were deducted. Their first home win of the season on the final day in front of their fans. But not just that, in front of a packed, colourful, vibrant, positive and hopeful Sheffield Wednesday, a positive Hillsborough, because Sheffield Wednesday have new owners, and it is signed and it is sealed. And on top of all of that excitement...
It is delivered?
It is delivered.
Thank you.
And on top of all of that, the EFL have kindly said they won't be deducting Wednesday 15 points next season. They will start on 0 with everyone else. Massive.
There's a great video doing the rounds of the of this moment, shared by a Sheffield Wednesday fan. It's the second time we saw the Chansiri news put up on the big screen at Hillsborough of his departure, and then they put up the 15-point deduction, and in like ridiculously tantalising fashion, slowly ebbed away at the points until it was 0. Yeah, I mean, for them to get their first home win of the season feels huge. For them to beat a West Brom side who've been in such good form, to do it in like for Liam Palmer to be one of the goal scorers, for them to be 2-0 up and then concede late and hold on, it all just feels really, really nice and positive for them next season. Some interesting rumours already around, such as them targeting Richard Hughes, who's the director of football at Portsmouth, which would be a hell of a coup if they managed to recruit someone out of a championship team, and might suggest, I would say, A, that when the new Wednesday owners are pretty ambitious, and B, they kind of know what they're doing if that's the kind of person they're targeting. So yeah, just a huge day for them. Hopefully this will be the last time we ever talk about the issues at Wednesday, and fingers crossed the new owners deliver on promises, and and this is a new beginning for them and their fans.
Love that. Our title winners, Coventry City, went to Watford. They won 4-0. Of course they did. Watford wanted the season to end before this game. Coventry, well, in some ways will hope that the party never ends, because it's been an incredible few weeks off the back of an incredible 9 months, off the back of an incredible few years. They got to celebrate an Ellis Sims hat-trick. Victor Torp scored the fourth. That means that Coventry finished with 5 players scoring 10 or more league goals this season, which is absolutely remarkable. You don't see that very often. Elsewhere, Leicester won on their championship farewell game at Blackburn Rovers, for whom that didn't really matter very much. I'd be interested to know the emotions of Leicester City fans and any of them that travelled to Blackburn to see their team that have consistently let them down this season, last season as well, back-to-back relegations, secure only their 5th away win of the season, and their first since the 6th of December with a 1-0 win at Blackburn. Steffi Mavididi with the goal there. Bristol City beat Stoke 2-0, which brings an end Roy Hodgson's interim reign. Started with 2 wins, then they went 4 without, finishes off with a 2-0 home win against Stoke, a goal from Bergzorg and another from Bell at the start and at the end. They finish 12th, Bristol City, some would say back where they belong. Stoke finish 17th. That is rank. That is something that happens pretty much every season. They will be looking hard at themselves in the mirror.
And probably a new manager at some point will do exactly the same thing.
Possibly a new manager at some point who will possibly do exactly the same thing. Good news for them was Victor Johansson signing a new contract in an incredibly hammed up video on social media.
Oh, I loved it.
2 minutes of him leading up to saying, I'm leaving the club, only for him to say, so I've signed a new contract.
It should have been 30 seconds, because I had me, and then I was like, well, this is obviously a new contract signing.
Right, okay. You saw through it, but you've got X-ray vision for that shit, for that stuff. The bad news was a massive Victor Johansson howler, putting Bristol City ahead in the first minute. Johansson returning to
focus
action
on football, Victor,
after missing 4 or 5 months through a shoulder injury. A time in which Stoke have gone from challenging for the playoffs to finishing 17th on 55 points. Swansea beat Charlton 3-1. Nice afternoon for Adam Eder, who signed on pretty decent wage, reportedly, at the end of the transfer window, only to see Zandra Potnik, who I think the club were probably not expecting to end up as the Championship's Golden Boot winner, fly past him in the pecking order, be the best striker in the league, or certainly the best goal-scoring striker in the league. Adam Eder picked up an injury as well during the season, which meant he missed some months. It's not been a great season for him, but 2 goals on final day and an absolute ripper of a free kick from January signing Leo Walter made it a 3-0 win at home to Charlton. Swansea finishing 11th, a top half finish for them. And Portsmouth and Birmingham drew 1-1, Birmingham finishing 10th, Portsmouth 18th. That brings to an end the Championship regular season. It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure to chat about it every Monday for 41 odd weeks. We've got the playoffs to come, and as you can imagine, we're pretty up for those as well. For posterity's sake, the final Championship League table, Coventry champions on 95 points, and Ipswich go up in second on 84. The playoff teams, Millwall 83, Southampton 80, Middlesbrough 80, Hull 73, Wrexham 71 and Derby 69, with Norwich 9th on 65 and Birmingham 10th on 64. Swans 64 and 11th, Bristol City 12th, 62. Then in the bottom half, Sheffield United and Preston 13th and 14th. Then QPR and Watford. Then Stoke, Portsmouth, Charlton and Blackburn, just above the relegation zone, West Bromwich Albion, and in it, Oxford United. Whee! Farewell. Hello, darkness, my old friend. No, come on, what?
Hello, League One, my old friend.
Yeah, nice. Leicester second bottom and 46 points behind them on 0 points. Sheffield Wednesday, for whom the future is brighter. And that's a good note to finish this on. Thank you so much for listening today and throughout the season. Please do let us know in the comments what you liked about Final Day and join us for our playoff preview in midweek. Cheers and go well.